Hi, everyone. Welcome to Naturally Immune for Life. Thank you for joining me today. I just want to start off with saying that my last video and was restricted viewing for some reason. I'm not sure why. I was surprised to see it the next morning, and rather than read through the entire uh, reason given for that, I just decided to take their advice from YouTube and promote another video instead. And when I have time, I'll go back and see if it's still there so I can avoid doing that in the future. But again, I don't really know. I just know it had a restricted viewing on it, and uh, I didn't. I didn't want any violations on my channel. If it was indeed a violation, I'm not even quite sure, but I didn't want restricted viewing either, so I just took their advice and promoted another video. And then, secondly, sometimes people might have some problem relating that I don't I'm not where you might be or where you were. So I'm just going to read a short list of my diagnoses in my lifetime. And I'm going to start with 16 years ago. I was told that within 2 years I would be peeing myself in a wheelchair. And that was 16 years ago. Um, so, um, and then I even managed to conceive when they said I wouldn't. So let me just go through a short history of the diagnoses that I specifically can remember off the top of my head, although I assure you there were many more because there were many more times I was on antibiotics or the usual things that affect someone like me. So I was 2 months premature, sentenced at birth. I was not breastfed. There was no one at fault for that. Um, Tonsils, had them removed by age 7. Appendix, had that removed by age 13. PCOS, endometriosis, sepsis, EBV, IBS, IBD, SIBO, mold toxicity, allergies, drug allergies, fibromyalgia, Lyme. I'm not going to give my commentary on that, but that one nearly killed me because I was placed on antibiotics for months. So I'm skipping my commentary on the faulty test involved with that. Gestational diabetes, prediabetes, optic neuritis, blindness, MS, mold toxicity again. And there was more with Lyme, but I cannot remember specifically what. So that's just the short list. And as you can see, thanks to the pioneers in natural oral immune therapy, including the Japanese, the Italians, and currently the Europeans, and pretty much everyone else in the world, I haven't succumbed to the prophecy of my fate. So, okay, this week's post, let's get on to it. And that is why I choose to I only speak about very few topics, and these are essential to life, and they are essential to my life. And if I had had them, I assure you that long list of diagnoses never would have happened. So, why bifidobacteria are essential for infant health. Infant health. The human gut begins developing its microbiome immediately after birth, and among the earliest and most important microbial colonizers, and I want to say I wasn't cesarean delivery, but I was in an incubator for 2 months, and I was not breastfed. The human gut begins developing its microbiome immediately after birth, and among the earliest and most important microbial colonizers are bacteria belonging to the genus Bifidobacterium. These microbes play a central role in shaping the infant gut environment, supporting immune development, and protecting against disease. The review, the Bifidogenic Effect Revisited, Ecology and Health Perspectives of Bifido Colonization in Early Life, and I believe this is from Danone, or sponsored by Danone, examines how bifidobacteria become established in the infant gut and why their presence is considered a hallmark of healthy early life microbiome and development. Microbial colonization begins during and shortly after birth through exposure to maternal, vaginal, fecal, skin, and breast milk microbes. Among these microorganisms, bifidobacteria are particularly important because they have evolved with humans and possess unique abilities that allow them to thrive in the infant gut. Vaginal delivery promotes the transfer of maternal microbes, including bifido, to the newborn. In contrast, infants born by cesarean section often experience delayed colonization and develop a gut microbiome that differs significantly from that of vaginally delivered infants. These infants typically have lower levels of beneficial bifidobacteria and higher levels of bacteria commonly associated with hospital environments. Breastfeeding is another major factor influencing bifido colonization. Human milk contains not only nutrients but also microbes, beneficial microbes, and specialized carbohydrates known as human milk oligosaccharides. Remarkably, infants cannot digest most HMOs themselves. Instead, these compounds serve as food for bifido. Through coevolution, infant-associated bifido species have developed specialized enzymes and transport systems that allow them to efficiently metabolize HMOs. And then I'm going to get into more specifically why this coevolution is important in later posts. This gives them a competitive advantage over many other gut bacteria and explains why bifido often dominate the microbiome of healthy breastfed infants. In some breastfed babies, bifidobacteria may account for more than 90% of the total gut microbiome. Researchers describe bifido as a keystone genus because their influence on the microbial ecosystem is disproportionately large compared to their abundance. Much like the keystone of an arch supports the entire structure, bifido helps shape the composition and function of the infant gut microbiome. As they ferment HMOs and other carbohydrates, they produce organic acids, particularly acetate and lactate. These metabolites lower intestinal pH and create an acidic, oxygen-poor environment that discourages the growth of harmful pathogens. This protective effect helps reduce the risk of gastrointestinal infections and supports the development of a stable microbial community. The benefits of bifido extend beyond digestion. Their metabolic activity produces short-chain fatty acids, especially acetate, which influence immune development, strengthen the gut barrier function, and contribute to colonization resistance against pathogens. Studies have shown that lower levels of acetate in infancy are associated with a higher risk of allergic conditions, such as wheezing and asthma later in childhood. Furthermore, Bifidobacteria help support the growth of other beneficial bacteria by providing metabolites that serve as nutrients for butyrate-producing microbes. This process, known as cross-feeding, contributes to the gradual maturation of the gut microbiome as infants transition from milk to solid foods. Several factors can disrupt normal bifidocolonization. Cesarean delivery, premature birth, antibiotic exposure, and formula feeding have all been associated with reduced bifidobacterial abundance. Premature infants, in particular, often develop microbiomes dominated by potentially harmful bacteria, such as Klebsiella, Enterobacter, and Clostridium, while having relatively low levels of Bifidobacteria. Because these infants already possess immature immune systems, disruptions in microbiome development may increase their susceptibility to serious conditions such as necrotizing enterocolitis and sepsis. To address these challenges, researchers have developed microbiome modulation strategies that encourage bifidobacterial growth. These approaches include probiotics, prebiotics, symbiotics, and postbiotics. Certain probiotic strains, particularly Bifidobacterium breve, have demonstrated benefits in preterm infants, children with allergies, and infants born by C-section. Probiotics such as galacto-oleosaccharides and fructooleosaccharides mimic some of the functions of HMOs and selectively stimulate bifidobacterial growth. But I have pointed out, and I will point out, why HMOs differ from those. And I will do so more in the future. Symbiotics combine probiotics with prebiotics to provide both the beneficial bacteria and the nutrients needed to support them. These interventions can help restore a more natural pattern of microbiome development when early colonization has been disrupted. The evidence reviewed in this paper highlights the importance of Bifidobacteria as foundational members of the infant gut microbiome through vertical transmission from mother to infant, specialized utilization of human milk oleosaccharides, production of beneficial metabolites, and support of immune maturation. These microbes help establish a healthy gut ecosystem during a critical period of development. As modern medical practices such as cesarean delivery and antibiotic use become increasingly common, understanding how to preserve or restore bifidocolonization may play an important role in improving long-term health outcomes for children. And I would just like to point out that the C-section risk are the greatest risk at 25%. That doesn't negate the fact that there were not other risks to someone like me who was simply premature and not breastfed and had the potential to acquire hospital pathogens. So those are different categories, and you have to be able to delineate them as you are assessing your own history. So, okay, everyone, that's pretty much it, and I will upload the PDF and include this source for you so that you can read the entire paper. And it is, let me just give the entire name of it here. Hopefully I can open it in this window, but I'm pretty sure it was sponsored by Danone, which amazingly, do have a Danone factory right up the street in my neck of the woods. Sorry, I'm just hiding this here. Sorry, I just changed the light on my screen. The Bifidogenic Effect Revisited, Ecology and Health Perspectives in Bifidobacterial Colonization in Early Life. So yes, this is Danone Nutrition Research, the Netherlands. And we already discussed last time Europe's decision to avoid the rising healthcare costs of this astronomical problem. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.